As this Zero Hedge article says, Mueller report reveals Russia taped Bill Clinton having phone sex with Monica Lewinsky. Uh-oh, it looks like Bill Clinton's in a little bit of trouble again. As the article says, the Washington Examiner reports that a redacted portion of the Mueller report mentions a claim that Russia recorded President Bill Clinton having phone sex from Air Force One with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. And as it continues, Clinton allegedly was recorded by Russia in the 1990s, allowing Russia to learn of the affair before American officials. A reference to the Clinton intercept was redacted from the Mueller report to protect personal privacy, but sources told the Washington Examiner that the context makes clear what was blacked out. According to the report, Center for the National Interest President Dmitry Sims sent Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner in a 2016 email with recommended talking points to counter Hillary Clinton's Russia attacks. The email referenced a well-documented story of highly questionable connections between Bill Clinton and Russia. At a meeting in New York, Sims told Kushner the details. Russia allegedly recorded President Clinton on the phone with Lewinsky, opening questions of foreign leverage over the ex-president turned potential first spouse, Washington Examiner. As it continues, during the August 17 meeting, Sims provided Kushner the Clinton-related information that he had promised. Sims told Kushner that redacted reads the Mueller report. Sims claimed that he had received this information from former CIA and Reagan White House official Fritz Ermarth, who claimed to have learned it from U.S. intelligence sources, not from the Russians. That should be highlighted the most there and emphasized the most. As it continues, as the Examiner's Stephen Nelson notes, the redaction is likely to anger Republicans as the allegation has been known since at least 2001, and the Mueller report's reference to a claim that President Trump watched prostitutes urinating in a Moscow hotel room was not struck out. And really, who cares if he did? Why is this people's business? It's so weird. I'll get into why I care about the Clinton story in a moment. According to Ermarth, a 78-year-old who worked in the CIA for 25 years and was chairman of the National Intelligence Council from 1988 to 1993, the Mueller report inaccurately suggests that he mishandled classified information when in fact he used public sourcing. And I quote, the line in the Mueller report that says any of this was based on intelligence information is a product either of faulty remembering by Dmitry or flawed interference or a hostile fabrication by the Mueller report, said Ermarth. The report wording implies my misuse of intelligence or use of intelligence that is classified in this context, and that is completely false. And it shows here in this piece, it says, independent counsel Ken Starr's 1998 report on Clinton's affair with Lewinsky identified 17 phone sex calls in 1996 and 1997. The report says Clinton told Lewinsky that he suspected that a foreign embassy, he did not specify which one, was tapping his telephones, and he proposed cover stories. If ever questioned, she should say that the two of them were just friends. If anyone ever asked about their phone sex, she would say that they knew their calls were being monitored all along and the phone sex was just a put-on. Ermarth thinks he told Sims that the Clinton-Lewinsky phone call was intercepted while the president was traveling on Air Force One, but that the detail is believed to not have been conveyed to Kushner or included in the report. Washington Examiner, this is where it comes from. According to Ermarth, he was not interviewed by Mueller and says he discussed the Clinton phone sex intercept with Sims during a 2014 or 2015 trip to Washington. Spokespeople for Mueller, Sims, and Kushner did not respond to the Examiner's request for comment. The Mueller report was redacted by the Justice Department in collaboration with Mueller's team. Overall, there were 855 redactions according to the Smoking Gun. Just 7% of those were for personal privacy, according to Vox. The majority of the redactions, however, was due to the involvement of grand jury deliberations or harm to an ongoing case. According to the report, Sims told the investigators Kushner appeared to consider the phone sex story old news as news outlets had long ago reported that Russia had advanced knowledge about Lewinsky. Meanwhile, Kushner told Mueller's team he did not receive information from Seams that could be operationalized and doubted new negative information could be unearthed on the Clintons. So an unverified claim that Trump had hookers pee on a Moscow bed was published without redactions, while Bill Clinton's alleged Air Force One phone sex conversation was kept under the wraps. Of course, it was not relevant, but what Trump did was. Look, it's more of the attempt to smear and all that kind of stuff. Look, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm certainly not a Clinton supporter. I'm not a supporter of government. I'm a supporter of of individualism, of freedom, and not using force against other people. But it's worth mentioning this Clinton story simply just because of all the things he's been tied up in and somehow has gotten away with. It's crazy how long Bill Clinton has managed to still remain popular for some reason as a cool guy who, played saxophone on TV and was anti-establishment, quote unquote, and got elected, and then was involved in vast criminal activity and, meddling in other elections and working with China and, working with Saudi Arabia and Russia and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's not the point. It's just the fact that he was on the Lolita Express with Jeffrey Epstein. Why aren't more people talking about that? He ditched his Secret Service detail to be on a plane that involved underage prostitutes and potentially slaves. How is this not a huge thing all over the news? Friends with Harvey Weinstein, and we know what happened with that. Friends with people like Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner, who was involved in trying to, get images and try and, send creepy messages to an underage girl, and then was involved in having all these creepy pictures on his computer, and also was sending pictures of himself, like half naked, with his child next to him. I mean, these people are involved with really, really sketchy, creepy people. And how could we not question that? Sure, okay, Trump might have done something in a hotel room, and I don't even care what Bill Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky. That is like the cover story. That's what they talk about. They talk about Monica Lewinsky. What about his rape cases? What about the fact that, as we've interviewed Juanita Broaddrick on multiple occasions here at Wham, where she actually said during the election she feared for her life. It was shared. The video was shared by Donald Trump himself, actually. The fact that isn't talked about, but Lewinsky is. Rape versus an affair. Why is the affair covered and not the rape? And then the sexual harassment and the sexual assault. It's mind-boggling what they consider relevant and what they consider irrelevant. It's another example of who controls the media and who controls the mind, and also to create divide as well. It's not necessarily clean cut. This could have a lot to do with just creating divide and causing people to clash against each other instead of focusing on the real enemies, the state, the banking system, the cartels that are completely deep-sixing their freedoms and their ability to live freely on this beautiful earth that we live on. This is an attack on all individuals, so it's all part of a diagnosis here. It all is tied in to the major complex that is distracting us, confusing us, giving us false information, indoctrinating us, making us dependent and weak and stupid, and making us, support or be cheerleaders for an organized crime racket we call government. Left or right, Pepsi or Coke, both are bad for you, both are probably made by the same company, and both are laughing and chuckling behind closed doors, and we all beg for one or the other, saying we need change. We've been doing that since the beginning of time. We've been doing that since ancient Greece, and it's only gotten worse, and it's progressively getting worse and worse by the year, an incremental frog boil to complete collectivism, and then we sit here going, oh yeah, well, like Trump P-tapes. Like, with the whole Russia thing, this was all a big guise to, create instability with Russia, to cause a war inevitably with Russia. The monetary system needs a war. They're desperate, and there's a monetary coalition, and what Russia itself calls a new world order being formed around the idea of creating, a global currency outside of the U.S. dollar. And the U.S. is freaking out. People are swapping out of their currencies, and I think that this is all going to lead to, just their desperation to create a centrally planned worldwide cashless society by fiat. So I think this is all tied into this whole construct, and The fact that this Bill Clinton news isn't really being talked about is strange, but what's even more strange is that it's barely being talked about that people have come out against him for rape, and as many as 80 people have come out against him for sexual harassment. How is that not a thing? And then, Joe Biden running for president, all these women that came out against him, and him like on camera sniffing little kids' hair. These people are sick, disgusting individuals that we sit back and, act complacent to, because it doesn't fit our narrative to attack that person on that side of that collectivist paradigm. And it's disgusting. When are we going to learn from this? It's just so perpetual. It's just brainwashing. It's mental disability. It's seriously mental illness. Statism, a religion that we get so glassy-eyed and dependent over. Sad. Very, very sad. Anyway, we will continue to cover this issue as it continues to unfold, as I'm sure it will. It always does with Bill Clinton. There's so much still to be uncovered about the Clinton crime syndicate. And I have no doubt we'll be learning more soon. And with Joe Biden running, we are probably going to learn a whole lot about Joe Biden too. And I'm just hoping that they pull the kill switch at WikiLeaks. Now that Julian Assange is in custody. And by the way, according to his mother, isn't allowed to see lawyers or anything and is being kept in the UK's version of Guantanamo Bay. Anyway, we will continue covering the subject. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.